Welcome to The Dirt, where you can get your weekly dose of quick gardening know-how. Gardening is actually an accumulation of knowledge, and there's always something new to discover. But sometimes you just want the facts, and you want them fast. So let's dig in and let's get to the good stuff. Today we're going to highlight a flower that's going to solve a problem, and this is for people that have boggy areas in their yard, or maybe you have those wet areas in the spring and you need something that's going to soak up the wetness, or it's going to do well in the wetness, or you have a stream or a pond and you're looking for something eye-catching to grow. Well, today we're going to highlight Trollius, also known as a globe flower. They add vibrant color to any garden, and they are attracting pollinators like bees because they are nectar rich. It's relatively low maintenance. It thrives in cool, damp conditions, but it's considered a beautiful addition, especially if you're going after that naturalistic planting scheme. Number one on the list is a Trollius chinensis. Now, Trollius are also known as globe flowers. The first cultivar that I'm going to talk about is Golden Queen. I actually have this one growing in my garden, so I have a little more knowledge about this one than the other two. I do know that this likes cool weather, and it wants to grow in the shade, and it wants to grow where it's wet. Now, if you live in the deep south where it's really humid and really hot, it's really not going to do well there. Or if you live in the desert, guess what? Unless you're going to water the heck out of this thing, it's not going to do well there either. This guy blooms in late spring, more like the beginning of June, usually until about the end of July. It has a beautiful golden orange bowl-shaped flower on it. I think this is a really striking perennial. It's very attractive. It's got nice, long, stiff, erect stems on it. And that flower is this beautiful golden orange with, I'd say the flowers are 2 to 3 inches across. It makes me think of a double buttercup. Now, what's also really nice is the foliage. It's really got this nice toothed dark green leaf on it, and it grows in this nice little clump. I think these look really good when they're planted in mass. Now, the biggest thing with this one is they really, really do want to grow where it's moist. So whether you have a moist bed, borders along the edge of streams, ponds, a bog garden, maybe you have that area in your yard that you need a plant that's going to soak up that excess spring moisture, then a globe flower might be the flower for you. They're pretty low maintenance, and they're fairly disease resistant and pest free. Now, they might get powdery mildew if you don't give them good airflow, but again, if that's the only problem that you're going to have with these things, I think they're well worth growing. When your flowers are done, you're going to cut those back, apply a balanced liquid fertilizer to promote more blooms, and the clump could be divided in the fall or even early spring. I think fall is better for this cultivar. They're actually native to China and Russia, and the one thing to remember when you're growing these is that they do want shade. They're going to grow anywhere from 3 to 6 hours of sun, and I think the further north you go, probably the more sun they can handle, but they are one of those flowers that will actually do well in the shade. So lots of things going on for this plant that I think make it a great addition to any garden. Number 2 on the list is a Trollius, let's see if I can say this properly, europaeus. But this one is a little bit different, especially in the coloring. Now, this one grows easily to 2 feet tall and 18 inches wide. And if you're wondering if these plants are deer and rabbit resistant, well, they say they are, and that they don't typically want to come and eat these. Doesn't mean they won't, but typically they would leave these plants alone. Now, this one here wants really good, rich, moist soil. This one is a little bit more tolerant of a little more dry soil than the chinensis variety, but this one is absolutely gorgeous as well. The other thing I like about the Superbus is the color of that flower. It's this beautiful light yellow, and it'll grow in heavy clay or wet soil. So you've got some options there. As long as the soil is well draining, it'll grow in that. The other thing is, just know that globe flowers, if you have the optimal conditions, they will self-seed in your garden. This cultivar is also a nice addition to your garden if this is something that you're looking to add. I'm always looking for that bright spot of color with a decent sized flower in the shade. Now, you could always run drip lines to this, or you could water it more often, or you could create a bog area in your yard. Stay tuned this summer and I'll show you how to do that. All of these Trollius are growing in zone 3 through 6. Now, some of the tags will say zone 7 and zone 8. But again, if you're in that deep south or you're really hot and humid or hot and dry, these are not going to do well unless you can give them those boggy conditions. Now, this next one that we're going to talk about is called Cheddar. They actually have this one growing at the Chicago Botanic Gardens, and it's absolutely a stunner. I love the creamy yellow flower, and it kind of leans a little bit towards white. It's got a very upright shape on the plant. It'll grow in full sun or part shade, and these guys will attract birds and butterflies. They are absolutely beautiful. If the cultivar cheddar is in the Chicago Botanic Gardens, then you know that it checked a lot of boxes to get there. I love this delicate looking creamy yellow flower. It's going to get 20 to 24 inches high, 18 to 20 inches wide. This one out of the 3 cultivars that I've talked about is probably the most reliable. It probably has the most unique flower color as well. Now, these can be used as cut flowers as well, and I'd say that your vase life on them is about 7 days. If at any time your Trollius aren't looking great, you can always cut them back. And there you have it, all the information that I know about Trollius that I passed on to you. Maybe you found one that you could add to your garden, or even if you didn't find one to add to your garden, maybe you know someone that has the problem of wetness in their yard and this could help them. So that's all I've got for today. That's the dirt on Trollius, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye, everybody.